I dropped a woman on stage in the middle of a performance, and the woman was the pastor's wife. Let's get into it. I was picked up by this entertainment company, and they sent me to a birthday party at a swimming pool, like this clubhouse, like a golf course country club kind of thing. And it was outside, like in the middle of July. And I had not done outdoor magic shows. Like maybe couple little tricks here and there in the backyard or something, but like a full show at a swimming pool. So I show up and I'm dressed like a magician in the middle of July. Oh, I did not think that through. And I was working like out of this tote bag. So I kind of carried my magic tricks in my tote bag, and I go into the gated, fenced-in area. There's kids jumping in the pool everywhere, and I set up under this like covering, and I set my little goodie bag down. I unzip it. Now, after I got set up and unzipped my bag, I've got all my cards in there and sponge balls and some scarves, and I start doing the show. And I mean, it was not the most ideal conditions, okay? It's hot. And all these dripping wet kids come running up to see the magic show. And I'm like, oh, like I'm thinking to myself, I don't even know how to get a kid to pick a card. He's going to ruin my cards. Like this is not a fun environment. I'm like, but I'm going to push through. I got picked up. I want to make an impression, for this entertainment company, and I want to do a good job. So I'm just going to push through the circumstances and work it out. And for the most part, I was really doing okay, considering, the kids were grabbing their towels and drying their hands. And so it kind of started to smooth out a little bit. And I'm doing some fun tricks, and kids are liking it. Everything's going pretty well. And I get near the end of my routine, and I decide I'm going to throw a fireball into the air. Now, how the fireballs work is that there's these thin pieces of paper called flash paper. And when I first got into working with flash paper, they came in these little tear-off sheets, and almost like rolling papers or something, about that big. And so you take one of those and maybe put it in your hand and then light it, and little fireball. But then I learned you can order these things in big sheets. So I ordered a bunch of big sheets. And so I stuck all of my flash paper sheets in my goodie bag. So it's like these big sheets like this. And I had them like folded over and just laying in the bag. I didn't put them in a container or anything. So they're laying in there, and I'm getting ready to do like a nice special effect for these kids. I'm going to throw a fireball, and I get myself a little piece ready to go, nice, ball it up, put it in my hand, have my little lighter ready to go. And I'm talking, and I'm doing like, keeping the kids laughing and that kind of thing. So then I decide it's time. It's time to throw the fireball. So I lit the fireball, and I give it a little toss like this. Fireball goes up in the air, just like it's supposed to, with that little breeze that I didn't even know was there. Caught the fireball and shoved that thing directly into my open bag. Inside the bag, well, I had cards and sponge balls and scarves and silks, but I also had all of those sheets of flash paper. It shot into the bag. Whoa, a fireball came out of that bag. Like huge fireball came flying out of that bag. And all the kids are like, oh, yay, do it again. They say. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, assessing I had ruined everything in that bag, all my cards. It got so hot, that fireball. It melted all my sponges and my silks. It destroyed my cards. And of course, all of them. I think I ruined like $500 for the magic tricks. Fortunately, it was at the end of my show. And so I was like, okay, kids, that's it for me. For about 4 years, I was a professional magician. I was just doing like bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs and corporate parties, birthday parties, Christmas parties. I was just like all caught up in doing magic shows. And it was an amazing time. It was a lot of fun. But when I first got into it, I was kind of like, how is this going to go? Like, I do a lot of close-up magic, but I don't know if I can entertain like groups of people, So going into it, I was just like, I need something. So I did a few shows and I realized, okay, even close-up magic works in front of a group of people. And then there were corporate parties where there was like just tables, like these high top bar tables where people just stand around having drinks and mingling with each other. I could walk up to a table and be like, hey guys, you want to see a trick? Now I'm getting paid to say this. And they're like, yeah, show's a trick. And I would do like 5 magic tricks for this group of people. And I'm like, all right, you guys have a wonderful evening. And move on to another table and do the same 5 tricks, table after table, and do that all night long. So I got really good at a handful of close-up magic tricks. And it was a lot of fun. But then at some point I was like, I'm doing stage shows too. And I kind of need to step up my game with my stage show. I need a stage magic trick. So I'd saved up some money and I bought a trick called chair suspension. I was really excited about this trick. So I practiced and practiced and practiced. Now here's the premise of the trick. You take 2 folding chairs and face them toward each other. And then you take a board and you lay it on top of the backrest of these chairs. And then you get a person, you lift them up and lay them on the board. You cover them with a blanket. Then you remove one of the chairs and then let go. And there, for everybody's amazement, is a suspended board with a person on it on one plastic fold-up chair. Now that is impressive, but there's a stage 2. Stage 2 is then you grab the board and you slide it out from underneath of the person laying there. And right before your very eyes, the person remains suspended in a blanket, feet sticking out. And so I had practiced this trick over and over and over, just like you did every other trick, till you get it down that you're so good at it that you can do it in front of a group of people. So my big moment was coming. I got invited to do a magic show at a youth event at a church. So I'm like, this is my time. I'm going to debut this trick. So I bring the trick with me and I set it up before the show. So now there's this board laying across these 2 chairs with a little blanket on top of it, and it gives everybody like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen there. Build a little suspense for it. And so, I'm going to do this as my finale trick. So the kids come in, they sit down, and I start, doing some fun stuff with them. Then I start doing some close-up magic. I'm bringing kids up, and I'm doing things, and the kids are having an amazing time. We're talking like 10, 11, 12 years old, maybe even 8, 9, somewhere in that preteen to early teen age. And they're all having this really fun time. Now, in my mind, I'm planning and preparing for this trick, and I'm going to need a volunteer. Now, the volunteer has to be, as of a certain height in, frame build so that they, fit on the board and they're, I can pick them up. So I had scouted the pastor's wife standing next to her husband over against the wall. They're just kind of overseeing this and watching these kids have fun. But in my mind, I'm like, she's about the right build for this trick. I'm going to pick her. So we're building our way up. Kids are having an amazing time. And then finally get to the place where I'm going to do my final trick. So I'm like, for this next trick, I'm going to need a volunteer. Always make it look like, that you're just going to randomly pick somebody. So all the kids are like, pick me, pick me. And I'm looking and looking around. And then my eyes turn the gaze toward the pastor's wife. And I said, how about you? And of course, she's like, oh, no, not me. And of course, her husband is like, oh, yeah, honey, you should go up there. The kids will love it. And of course, it's a great idea. The kids are all like, oh, the pastor's wife, like that's going to be a lot of fun. So she reluctantly comes up to the stage and I'm like, all right, everybody, we are going to do something very special. I need everybody to be quiet so we can concentrate. And I'm really building like the mystery and suspense of what's going to happen here and, bringing in the magic to make it happen. So I asked her permission. I said, can I pick you up and lay you on this board? She's reluctantly like, okay, she doesn't know me. So I pick her up and I lay her on the board. And then dramatically, I cover her with a blanket. Okay, so now she's laying on this board, bound up by this blanket. So now I'm like doing this big dramatic thing. And I'm like, and now I'm going to remove a chair. And so at her feet, I pull the chair out from under the board and I slide it off to the side. And I'm like, now I will let go of this board. And I do. So far, so good. I let go of the board and it stayed suspended. Then I said, and now, I wave my hands over top and underneath and like, there's no ropes or, hidden gimmicks. This is magic. So then I'm like, now I will remove the board. I grab a hold of this board and I start to pull it. Now there's a gimmick at the head end of it where reinforced steel slides over reinforced steel and it's going to hold this. But if you don't line up the U-shaped part with this tubed steel perfectly, like if it's slid over just a little bit, you don't check that, bad things are going to happen. I didn't check it. I didn't know I needed to check it. It had worked fine in practice. So I pulled on the board. And that's when everything went terribly wrong. The gimmick failed and it kicked to the side. And the whole thing fell over. The chair, the board, the pastor's wife, who's tied up in a blanket. She hit the floor. Wham! And it instantly knocked the air out of her lungs. So now everybody's horrified that they just watched the pastor's wife fall to the floor. And then it knocked the air out of her lungs. And she couldn't get a breath. So she's gasping. She's like, oot, oot, oot. And everybody is like, the kids are like starting to cry. They're like, oh my gosh. The pastor comes running across the room. He gets up there. Before he even bothers to check on his wife, He's so mad. He looks at me and he says, "What did you do to my wife?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, 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 no." So he gets down, he's checking on her. She still can't get her air. "It's okay, honey. It's okay." The kids are crying. It is chaos. It is mad chaos. And I'm like, I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. I explained it. I couldn't explain it. It was horrible. It was a bad deal. Like, there should have been a waiver involved in this. So I just decided it's time to leave. That was my last trick. And I need to just get out of here. One more trick for the road. It's called the disappearing act. So I grabbed all my stuff and I'm like running toward the door. And I got out of there. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And of course, like, there was a whole complaint to the company, and like they had to refund money. It was a big, big deal. And that is when I dropped the pastor's wife in the middle of a performance. Hit that like button for me. Hit the subscribe button. There's more stories on the way. If you like listening to stories, this is your channel.